SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to episode 75 of the SmashFactor, the John Deere Classic edition, or better known as the bye week before the British Open next week. We are about 104 degrees today here in San Antonio, so it's a brutal temperatures out there. Some people north of us hit 120, so it's very, very hot down here right now.
You don't have to live in those locations.
I get to play golf.
You don't have to live there.
I sacrifice it to be able to play golf all year, I guess. With me, as you just heard, is my partner for the evening and every week, Brian Snow, Bucks at BP Snow 11. Bucks, how are you doing this week?
I am doing well. Excited to kind of be back for the first time, for a full week, for the first time in a while. Not really traveling for a few weeks. I got a member guest at the end of the week down in Ocean City, but I don't really count that. So I'm just pumped to kind of be home for a while. It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, I don't have that this week. I actually have an acquisition deal I'm closing, and I fly out Thursday to be gone for a full week. So I'll be doing a lot of podcasts and stuff from hotel rooms for the British Open, but that's fine. I'm sure it will not be any cooler down in El Paso as it is here. So used to that weather. Probably I don't want to regurgitate what everybody will talk about on their podcast and all week about the young guns and three guys, but there'll be some points to kind of make. One thing was especially us being on virtually all of them before most in the industry. And you or me between the three of them saying, these aren't your normal, this is a way far left, way far right. When you're talking about John Rahm or Panda, I don't know that I thought any of them could be John Rahm. I knew none of them are going to be a Panda type, but I don't know if it's somewhere in the middle or where we're at. Way too early to call these guys elite or put them in that kind of field, but it was very unique and awesome to see up there on the leaderboard. What was your thoughts of the tournament, and then how did you do all the way around DraftKings wise?
Yeah, my thoughts on the tournament were that it was awesome, man. I mean, we this is what we talked about earlier last week. We've been talking about it for months. Like, we are really fortunate to be in an era where there's so much talent up and coming, and not just like, oh, this guy's got the Adam Scott type swing, but like just raw athletic talent. Like, Wolf has some of the best hands of anybody on tour already, and gets it done with the swing that he has, but it's grooved. It's natural for him. He couldn't tell you what his swing looks like. He'd say it looks like Hovland. It looks like Scott, looks like Tiger. It's just really impressive to be seeing these guys perform the way that they can, and to be performing at the level that they did perform at in college. I mean, we saw Wolf, and we talked about it last week on the E9. Wolf wasn't just your average college player who had a couple wins here and there. Like, he just dominated, and playing with Hovland, he dominated. And we talked about it last week, that these are the types of weeks where Wolf early in his career can thrive, because he can go bomb and gouge, try to make as many birdies as possible, go at all of these pins. He doesn't really have to mentally grind it out every week on a track like last week, a track like this week. And so it's just really impressive to be able to see these young guns kind of play. And then we're still seeing some of the elite guys like DJ, Rory, even Jason Day, Matsuyama. I mean, we still see those guys. Then you got Tiger. I mean, it's just a really cool period in golf right now. From a betting DraftKings FanDuel perspective, last week I entered around 2K on DraftKings, won back 1,700, so that's a wash. FanDuel was disappointing. I entered 2 lineups, main lineups, one of which I loved from like a cash game perspective. And so I went super heavy on that lineup, and that tanked hard. I think I had 3 guys miss the cut, which sucked. My other lineup did well. Came in 4th in the 555, came top 15 in like the 44, whatever they had on FanDuel. But that lineup itself won $4 grand. The shitty thing is the other lineup I had was $5K in the hole. And so it was a mediocre week from a money perspective, but a lot of the guys that we were on hit. And so it was cool. It was good. And so it's nice to see Wolf take it down, especially in the fashion in which he did. It was nice to see Bryson be in contention after we had talked about him the last couple of weeks doing so. So it was good, man. How was your week?
Probably weird overall. Been on Bryson. Probably said it for a few weeks. I want to be on him earlier than late. Loved Hideki last week and faded both of them Wednesday night. So that worked out real well for me overall. I was anywhere from 4 to 7x on the field on Hovland, Wolf, and Morkow. All 3 of them I loaded. I was on. I hit all over the place with some awesome 5 of 6s, but I had 0 6 of 6 on the main. I got, just murdered on the main slate. Luckily, because I felt the process was there, I just kind of chose bad up top. And then a few other, Ryan Moore misses a second cut in a row, which I don't know the last time he missed 2 in a row, that he hurt me in one lineup. Just hit or miss on a few guys that just killed me on each of my big lineups that I had going. But I kept the kind of same model and mentality through the showdown and weekend, and made over 5,000 on Sunday, got me out of the week main slate hole, and I wound up with about 60% ROI. Probably the bigger deal was the betting. Did have Wolf at 125 to 1, had a double on Rom and DeChambeau and RCB and DeChambeau. And through 9 holes or so, I thought it was going to be RCB was the one that was alive, and that double paid like 434 to 1, which would have been awesome sweat. But still, Rom and DeChambeau double pay like 134. So going into Sunday morning, the dream. Yeah, and I guess I had Rom and Matsu, but I didn't know if Matsu could go deep enough. He can certainly, but it was just a typical Matsu week, right? I think he'd wind up finishing with top 5, top 8, somewhere in that.
He's build. Close, man.
Yeah, he is. Definitely probably talked about a little bit for the Open, but hit Wolf 125 to 1. A lot of the community hit Wolf, obviously. Not a great community week overall. We get to some of the winners, but I think it was the same deal. And I'm going to a little bit later get into the construction, and then we learn as we continue each week with the community, and the community keeps growing, and so we have to learn to. So I liked Redmond again, and I was on him, but then when I was seeing everybody's post-tourney reaction in the Slack, like I got to taper people down. Like I was on him at like, I don't know, maybe 16%, right? So pretty heavy on the field, 18%. So, but there was guys that took the Redmond call and went to the next week, and they thought that meant, well, take him 70%. That's a bad on us. I don't say bad. It was I didn't think people would take it like he's the nuts this week. It was just, it's another, like, so today we'll talk about Wolf and some of these guys, and it doesn't mean for their price. All right. Doesn't mean you have to go triple up on somebody like that. And
either
risk
way though, like at the price he was, there's still value there. Like, yes, he didn't pay off, but there are definitely worse spots to go hammer a guy. it's not like you're hammering Redmond at 9K.
No.
You're hammering them to free space up top.
Same with Wolf. Like I was heavier on Wolf because he was only mid-7s.
Exactly, and that's what we talked about on the E9. I mean, mid-7 guy that can go out there and take it deep like he did in college. Knew that was value.
Yeah. So finished up almost 16 stars on the week. Good bounce back week from the week before. Betting's doing solid on the year. Interesting tournament this week. Got few notes coming out. Listener League winner was Stewie 1963, 598.5. Had Brooks, Reed, Tringali, Wolf, Merritt, and Wagner. Pretty solid lineup. Would have finished decent. I think Brooks probably let him down on Sunday. If he could have made a big charge, that really would help. Reed after looked like, because I was heavy on Reed. Reed was my highest big boy up top. Too. Yeah, him and Day had plenty of both. Looked like he was going to MDF because he was +3 on Saturday, and then all of a sudden finished really strong to make a run, and then another good round Sunday. So he's on the radar for the future. I think his game's there for the right courses. A few others with some good hits: J Corb 19, CR Hayes Lete, Britt P 55, Jay Polston 33. And you can go to Twitter and see, we probably had 50, 75 screenshots or more of the Wolf ticket. So that was a big win for the community and hopefully build the bankroll a little up. Overall, I agree with you. I think I was trying to reflect last night. I was doing some other things and I was working on a project that I'm going to release tonight, which is pretty cool for some people that have been asking for it. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I was like, how do I rate the win as far as the field goes? And I was like, it didn't have DJ, didn't have Rory, but then I go back and I was like, well, I had D-Cham, Brooks, Reed, Kepka, Matsuyama, Day,
Neiman, Day.
I mean, so some of these guys are top 10. Like this week, I think everybody's already said I don't think there's anybody in the top 50 in the world. So it's a totally different field, but there was enough talent. I don't want to say it was head to toe just amazing, but not only the fact Wolf winning it in the fashion he did after Bryson hit the nut shot on 18, which was just, had he won on that, I think it would have been easily in contention for shot of the year. And then Wolf kind of one-ups it. Now his is probably could be shot of the year contention, but I actually think Bryson's shot and the nuts that he had to do right there was probably still a better, like, high-level shot. Wolf's, I don't want to say it was lucky. It's never lucky, but good putt by him to get it in there. But Bryson risked it all right there, because if he comes up short or anything like that, he's done. And he didn't need an eagle necessarily at that point. He didn't know if he needed it or not. He knew he needed a birdie, but just a gut, very good shot for Bryson. I was impressed for sure. At that point, I was just trying to figure out when I was going to hedge on Morikawa, because I had the other two, and I was like, it's going to be a 3-man playoff, and I just got to hit the button at the right time. But overall, I think it was a good field for it. I enjoyed the tournament because, hindsight stuff we didn't know. Because I think you don't see a lot of the bad spots and trouble spots with the senior tour, because those guys just don't hit it as far, so they don't really get in trouble. And here, like, there are spots where if they miss in the wrong spot, it could be a double or a triple quick.
Oh yeah,
we talked about that kind of like the Honda-ish type deal, but. So I think next year I'll be interested to see what kind of field comes, because I like the balance of the tournament. It wasn't a runaway. There was a lot of scoring there on Sunday, and they set it up that way, but it was pretty stacked. At one point you had 20-something guys within 2 or 3 shots of the lead. And I like that tournament, because I like in the sense that these guys did have to contemplate some danger. And if I hit the wrong shot or hit it bad, this can turn into a triple real quick, even though it could be an easy birdie. And so it's a little bit different than just a, hit and giggle type of contest, even though there was low scores for sure. But I did like it for that. Quick tell our affiliates before we get into this week's John Deere Classic. Download Thrive Fantasy app. Use the code GUP. Get all these affiliate links and websites on our site. There's an affiliate tab up top. All the links are in there if you don't want to write this down and remember it. They now have PGA. Obviously, football's right around the corner. I didn't get in PGA last week because I just had a ton going on and just kind of slipped my mind. not used to it. So did get feedback that we had a ton of people, listeners, Slack people sign up, put their $20 in, get 10 free dollars. Several people said, hey, I already won and got my money, pulled out half back, no problems at all. 2 or 3 day waiting, or maybe a 2-day waiting period, which they're kind of working through, but good feedback from them, and they're taking feedback, which I like. They have some glitches in the app that people pointed out, and I think they're addressing it as they're a brand new app. So give them time. They haven't been around like DraftKings or FanDuel or anybody like that. Fanshare Sports, right around football season. Obviously, still got golf finishing out. Use the code GUP, get 20% off the Pro Advantage. You can use that for the football package or the golf package. More on that. I think they got some new pricing and stuff coming out for football season. I'm supposed to have a little discussion with them this week, so maybe an update for next week. Good spot for football ownership if you don't have someone that normally, I know a lot of people use Fanshare, or Fantasy National gives them but Fanshare is solid for football as well. Just mention fantasynational.com/GUP, gets you 20% off your next subscription. This is probably the best time to sign up for a month because it virtually gets you the rest of the season before the fall swing. I'd go ahead and do the annual because the fall swing kicks off right after that, and then you get all of next year too. Their annual package is like ours. It's $365, not through the season. So with that 20% off, it gets you back to the base price that they were at before they had their price increase around the Masters this year. As always, rate and review us on iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We had a pretty good response to that last week. Let's get some more subscribers on YouTube. We're kind of climbing up there. Helps us out. Next week, we will give, for everybody that does that, you get it. So now you have, with Twitch, you have 5 ways to get entries into this. We're going to give away, I didn't come up with a dollar amount yet. We'll talk to JB, but several $100s worth of entries into our football contest, the Super 7, the Survivor Pool, and the GCFFF leagues, which will go fast based on last year's feedback. Everybody's excited for those. As always, it's 100% free. 100% no hosting fee. All the money in, all of it gets paid right back out. It's just a contest we enjoy to help grow our brand in the community and get people used to, coming around and seeing what we have to offer. Once again, you can go to our site, get all those links. And even if you want to get on iTunes, all that stuff, we have links on the bottom of the page that can take you there. Fill us out a review. If you do the rating and the review, it gets you an extra ticket in. So literally you can have up to 6 tickets in to win several $100s next week of football contest. Bucks, take us through the TPC Deere Run.
Yeah, man. TPC Deere Run this week for the John Deere Classic in Illinois. 7,250 yards, par 71, primarily bent grass. The rough is Kentucky bluegrass. Greens are average size, 6,000 square feet, running at like an 11, 12, depending on the weather, the day, the heat, that kind of thing. Fairways are fairly wide. On average, they're like 36 to 38 yards wide. There are a couple holes that skew that number. But overall, when you look at the way the course is set up, the greens are super receptive. The bent grass greens are rolling smooth and true. That's why you see the winning scores at 20 plus under almost every single year. Average winning scores 21 under. Last year, Michael Kim shot 27 under and won by 8. So I'm not really counting that in the mix. I'm not sure if somebody goes that low this year. But the average cut line is still -3, -4. So we're at another event where you have to find guys that take it low, keep it in play. The course in itself is tree lined. It's a beautiful golf course. But again, as long as you keep it inside the tree lines, you're going to score on this golf course. And so you need to find guys who are finding the fairway. It's not a huge necessity to be like super accurate, but the golf course in itself isn't long. You have 7 par 4s that are under 450 yards. And so they're going to leave you with scoring clubs in hand. All the par 5s, they average 40% birdie or better rate. And so there's just a lot of scoring going on with the scoring clubs. And so it's really important to find those guys. To get a full breakdown, head out to the site, check out the breakdown. I posted that this morning. But yeah, the The course is going to be playing pure. There's no weather concerns. There's some thunder in the area on Wednesday, it looks like, but for the actual tournament dates, Thursday through Sunday, it's looking good, man.
Yeah, obviously. Only side notes I kind of made. I always go to your article first. GC Cup last year was around 575 ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. Several 5-6s were up there in the top. So you can have some big names miss this deal. And because Kim won, and I like virtually, he was almost 0%. So he was
for sure.
0.9. The points were a lot lower. Only reason why I point that out is because I'm going to bump my points when I do my model that we've talked about before, where I'm trying to guess kind of the per dollar point value that I'm gauging. Because I think on a normal week, it won't be as high as what he scored, but the winning points weren't included last year. So 30 points were missing. Obviously, very, very good week for me. Actually, my best week ever in fantasy golf. A year ago, had a $197,000 hit. My notes I made off of that last night, kind of like a lot of ball strikers, guys with high ceilings, but also can miss a cut fairly easily. I mean, some of the guys I had 3 or 4 end up cashing that week. The biggest line was Burgoon, Dahman, HV3, Neiman, Chris Kirk, and CT Pan. So kind of like the GUP team, pretty much to a T almost. Missing Armor was kind of the only one in there that isn't one of my patented FOMOs. But, all those guys can miss a cut. But when they're on, I mean, they're on, right? They can go low.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Other guys I noted, Sam Ryder, Kevin Tway were in a couple of my lineups. Molinari was one of my lineups, but it had a 5-6, so it didn't. Probably the only reason why he didn't score as well because he finished T2 with I think HV3 and Burgoon, or Dominant Burgoon may have finished T2 with Molinari, and then Molinari goes on to win the Open after this week. So
Molinari was on a epic heater at this point in time last year.
Mm-hmm. Which these two tournaments, last week, this week, and then rolling in, I've noticed in research from last year and this year, like form seems to, which we talk about this early in the season, that I don't factor form in because you never know what guys are in. Like right now, guys want to be peaking for, the British Open, the FedEx Cup run. The season's almost over. They can kind of see the light in the tunnel. So, they're focused and saying, let's finish strong. Let's finish the year off. And it's a lot of money now. We got is it called the Wyndham? That's kind of like the FedEx, but it's only for the regular season type deal.
Yeah.
So I don't want to misquote it, but I think what it is it's basically the FedEx Cup, but they're going to do a payout before they kind of call it a regular season championship pool. It's not near the money, but it's pretty good money.
It's money.
And it's money. And then a lot of these guys are trying to get in to the FedEx Cup run because, I mean, we've seen guys come from way back in that and win the 10 million. So ton of money up there. I think guys are looking to play really good. So form really matters to me this week. And then, ball strikers and guys that can go low if their game's on is kind of where I'm looking at. Some pretty strong contests this week. Any thoughts on, they're bringing back the $100K for the $44, the $444. So the last chance to get the 3180 entries.
They even got the 2K up there this week, which is nice.
Yeah. What surprised me being obviously they don't do it off of who's in the pool, but again, there's just not. I think the main reason more than anything. So you got MLB virtually off most of the week, right? With the All-Star week, now you got nothing really. There's NBA's out, hockey's out, MLB is virtually on a break. So putting pools out there for the DJ Nation to get in.
Tennis is in, baby.
Yeah. I think which you could say that it's going to be interesting because a lot of those guys aren't going to know this field. They're going to be looking for their DJs and Brooks or whatever, these casual players. And they're I don't know. They're probably,
this is a
person in the field.
Yeah. This is a week where you're going to look at your lineup and just go gross. And it's going to happen. Like, it's okay though. Cause it is what it is. Like you said, that you don't have somebody in the top 50 playing in this event. Your three highest guys this week are rookies.
Yeah, and I think what people, and we talk about this obviously in the Slack, and it paid off 2 weeks ago because we preached that you have to ignore, and if they do what I do, ignore the names or the price and just go, who's the best players? Forget how they're priced, but if they're the top 2 or 3 or 5 in your model, ignore how much they're priced or not priced and just play them, because
Yep.
I know that some of those guys shouldn't be 9,500. And you're going to hear that this guy can't. Well, yeah, he can, because in the field he's in and the strength he's in this week, he rates out to be that. So look at it. Call him Brooks Koepka if you want to. I don't give it. No one cares what you actually call him, but don't let it, deviate you from your game plan and your process. Because there are some there's more money out this week than there was last week by far.
Yeah.
So it's a good week to get some money, especially heading into football if you're a big football player.
Yep.
With that, Dirty Dozen. If you're kind of new, we've got a lot of new followers in the last couple of weeks. We do 4 tiers, 3 picks in each tier. And then the fourth tier is also 3 picks, but it's a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. Flop is anybody we think won't return value. Fade is fading for any reason. Ownership, don't like the spot. His form's bad, just whatever. It's not price related. And then the sleeper is anybody $6,900 or less.
Yep.
Bucks, kick us off. 9K and above. Who do you got?
There are a few guys in this range that I really like. Quite a few guys in this range. I love Hovland again this week. Been playing great. Another course that should suit his game. You got to go low. Sanjay M, ball striker, can get super, super hot. He's going to have a ton of holes where he's hitting less than 8 iron into these greens, and that's exactly what he wants. I think that's his advantage over the field is that iron play. And then the last pick was between Neiman, which I love this week. I will be playing some Neiman. In fact, he's going to be in a later segment. I think I'm going to mention him in the one and done. But Matthew Wolff, we saw it in college. We talked about it last week a little. When that dude gets hot and when that dude gets his confidence going, he plays all out. He won numerous times last year, back-to-backs in college, against really, really strong field, against Hovland, against Morikawa. It would not surprise me if Wolff in this field went back-to-back and won again. It really wouldn't. And most weeks I avoid playing somebody that just won. But I think he's a different breed from a mental perspective. I think when he gets hot, he's going to keep it going. So Wolff would be one of my top 3, along with Hovland and M.
Certainly can't disagree with any of that. I did. So I spent most of last night, 6 or 8 hours, and I've had requests for this. It's just been I knew it was going to take a lot to rebuild my entire model system. I know it's may not seem as hard as what it actually is when you've had these spreadsheets and formulas and everything flowing for my whole career is always focused on DraftKings, but I've had a lot of requests for FanDuel. I kind of always use like the industry of people. I look at lineup builders, optimizers, how many is being ran for each, and DraftKings dominates it. FanDuel is picking up some steam because there's such big pots in DraftKings and people feel like they can't compete with the max out. And FanDuel's I think you don't have to think as much on FanDuel. That probably sounds bad, but it's softer pricing. Yeah. I mean, you can just fit more top guys in, and you take one dart and you can kind of build whatever lineup you want. So you still have to pick the right guys. So there's strategy there, but it's a different game. Obviously, you and I have been testing it out. I've done much smaller and less than you have over the last couple of months, but I have played it about the last 3 or 4 weeks, just here or there, a couple lineups, trying things out. So I rebuilt the entire system. I built a lineup builder for FanDuel that will go out tonight. I've also built a lineup builder for the Open on FanDuel because the pricing is already out. So both those will go out tonight. I won't do a video yet. If I get requests, I will, but it's virtually the same as DraftKings. The lineup builder is ready, so you can just import it in to FanDuel and you're ready to go. Had that requested a lot. And then my entire ranking system, every document that I do and send out, I've now FanDuel salary, and then I have a segment on there you'll see. So if you're watching this later and you want to follow along, I've converted the FanDuel price to DK pricing as well. So they're all 3 right by each other. And for me, there's a column that I called the DK convert column. to kind of show, okay, if FanDuel was priced like DraftKings, so basically just took their percentage of 60,000 times 50,000 to see, like Neiman was 10-2 in DraftKings. Well, on FanDuel, he's 10-9, but his converted price to DraftKings would be 9,000. And so that's a huge advantage in FanDuel in my mind as far as pricing goes when you're looking at a $60,000 pool. And so I've incorporated all that. I know we're going to try to talk about that and even bring it into some showdown discussion and just everything we can. We're working towards it. We get, just to tell you guys, we get requests. We can't do it overnight, but we are working to make that better. Yes. Everything we reference in here, 9K above and all that, we have to pick one because we can't sit here all night. And it does reference DraftKings pricing, but virtually they're in the same bucket. So you'll see my rankings and you can kind of cross-reference it if you'd like. And then always give us feedback if you think it helped or not. A lot of work, but I think it'll pay off and hopefully win some people some money over on FanDuel. I mean, my number one guy is Neiman in more ways than one, right? I've been on him for, at the start of his career. I mean, start of his pro career. Love him this week.
Augusta last year, baby.
Yeah, he's number one in my model. My deal here really is going to come down to ownership. I'm trying to figure out, okay, Neiman's cheaper than the young gun. So does he get high owned?
I think he will. Yeah. For sure.
I think he will. Do people just drop down and say, forget it? Hovland is my favorite of the young guns, more because I still love his game overall. And I said it last week. I love his overall game and potential consistency wise over Wolf. I think Wolf has a higher ceiling. Those were my exact words last week on the podcast. Hovland's my number 2 play right now. And then my last one is a guy that, unless he becomes popular I don't know why he would, because he's just murdered me the last 2 weeks. Ryan Moore. I mean, he's won here 3 years ago. He's had a 7th to 24th. Last year he got a T55, nothing crazy. He's number 11 in my model. Number 1 in my rolling stat model. And I just, 9,200 seems a little cheap in this field. I know the recent form isn't there.
Yeah.
But he can hit fair. I mean, he's kind of the guy you talked about. He can hit fairways, not get in trouble, hit greens, and give, if he can roll decent on these bent grass, give himself a chance. So, and that's really kind of not that I hate Wolf. I love Wolf. I do think what you said may lead me to Wolf because, and I had it circled that if most people dodge him because he just won, I certainly don't mind taking a lower ownership Wolf and running it back this week. I don't know how it's going to come out. We'll see come Wednesday. But if he's like that 8 to 12% kind of, I'm not playing him at 10-5, he just won, and Neiman's 22% and Mordecai or Hovland's 20. I mean, I don't mind taking half the ownership on Wolf all day. I agree with you 100% there. I'll roll into the 7,600 to 8,900. My favorite guy in this area is Mackenzie Hughes. Played him a lot last week, had a 2-star bet on him, and he just, was playing really, really good and just absolutely played a horrible Sunday. And Party Marty Laird went like 6 deep. So he was leading going in to the weekend and wind up losing that bet. But I like him. I like his form. Last year was the first year he's played this, and he got a T16. All the stuff we talked about, he's kind of right there. And everything I'm looking at. Don't have a lot of stats on him on bent, so I may deep dive into that a little bit to see how he does on bent. But I certainly like McKenzie again this week. Kevin Tway, I love a lot. 8,900 right on the number. Played here the last 2 years, got a T12 and a T50. Pretty good form coming in. He did miss the Rocket Classic cut and may have hurt a few people there. I think I was even on him. Didn't play last week. Overall, I like him a lot. He's 28th in my stat model, but 8 overall when you put it all together. And then last, a guy that I hopped on the weekend and showdown, did well, but had a little bit of a rough Sunday, was Fratelli. Back on him again this week. First time playing here, but, at 7,600, I think he's worth a share. Back-to-back T46s the last 2 weeks. Number 4 overall in my stat model, but it's a little misleading because I only have 5 rounds of his counting right now because he doesn't play over here a whole lot right now. Who are you on in this range? Who's your 3 guys?
Yeah, I really, really like Mackenzie Hughes. I'm glad you mentioned him, so I don't have to. But in this range, I'll start from the bottom up at 7,500, or I guess at 7,700. I'm going to go Cameron Tringale. Guy's been playing really well. He solid ball striker, and he's been making a ton of birdies, and that's what you need out here. Next guy is going to be Malnati. This guy has just been on fire recently, been playing out of his mind. And then the last guy is one of those guys that is, in my mind, a super, super high upside guy in an event like this where you need to take it low, and that's Ryan Palmer. When you look at his stack categories, he is top 20 in literally every category that I am looking at right now, which would be total strokes gained, DK points, opportunities gained, birdies are better gained, bogey avoidance. I mean, he fits the mold here very, very well. And I can see Ryan Palmer taking it deep a couple of days and making a run.
Yeah, I definitely have no issues with Palmer. Can go really. He's kind of like we mentioned. I mentioned in the opening, a guy that can go low, be in contention, or he could literally miss the cut, which is going to be he's going to be common this week for. And that's the tough part, right? Is we're going to go through guys, and even when you're sitting here Tuesday, Wednesday, and you nailed it on the head of, you're not going to get real comfortable about 6 guys. Because there's going to be weaknesses. These guys are just not that high of quality. There's some great players, but hardly anybody is. So you just kind of have to put that aside and just say, all right, for these reasons, this is really what I'm focusing in on. And that's what I would do, is pick the things you really think are important and focus in on that. And then you know you're going to have weaknesses with some of the guys you go to, and just let it play out. Because otherwise you're just putting too much thought into it. 7,500 or less, where are you at there?
Yeah, so this is a range I actually really like. I think there's a lot of opportunity down here. I'm going to start all the way at the bottom with Andres Romero. I really like him coming into this week. He's been making a lot of birdies for his price, ton of DK points. When you look at DK points versus salary, he's probably one of the higher upside guys in the field this week. I mean, 7K, and he's top 10 in DK points over his last 24 rounds. So I do like Andres Romero. Moving on up to 7,400. And again, there's a lot of guys in this range I really like, but a guy that's been just not playing well, but he stands out to me when you look at pure scoring ability, when you look at opportunities, and that's Johnny Vegas. I think that he will keep it in play on a golf course like this. He obviously has played well here in the past. And again, super high upside. When you think about having to take it 20 under, he fits the bill of guys who can do that. And so I like Johnny Vegas. So the last guy in this range that I'm going to mention is one of my top picks this week, and that's Denny McCarthy. Really, really, really solid ball striker. Is not long off the tee, but you don't have to be here. But he is a really, really good iron player, 7, 8, 9 pitching wedge. Really great with his scoring irons, and he's a very, very good putter. He grew up on bent grass greens. He's been playing really well the last few weeks. And he is a guy that last year or the year before was a guy that I was thinking about in the same light that I'm thinking about Hovland. I thought Denny could be like in the next wave of really great players. I personally think some of his distance has kept him back, but he's a very good player. And for his price this week, I think that you are going to see him top 25 for sure, with top 5 upside with the way that he rolls the rock.
Yeah, I have Romero kind of he was on my round table to reach out. If he's $100 cheaper, I think he would have probably been right there as kind of that sleeper range, but he's not. T7 last year actually has played here 4 times and made the cut all 4. So at $7,000, I think
he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't become kind of a chalky name, but there's so many combinations you can make this week. I don't know if chalk is going to, other than some of the big boys at the top two.
And he is super cheap on FanDuel. I mean, like,
yes,
very cheap, 7,500 bucks on FanDuel, which is just mind boggling.
Right. Which is that would correlate to DraftKings at $6,250. So major savings for him. Yes. My three are, my number one is Sam Ryder. Been on him a lot in the last month. T34 last week, miscut at the Rocket, T51 the week before that. He got second here last year, which is weird because he really doesn't rate out very well on bent, but obviously he didn't mind these at all last year. Love him in my stat model. His worst thing in my stat model is 40th. Everything, he's got 2 top 10s and 18. So just kind of across the board, the kind of guy I'm looking at. 7,400, I'll have plenty of them. Johnson Wagner is another guy that 7,200. He's right below Ryder in my overall. I like him a lot this week. He's played here 5 straight years. I assume he is going to be chalked up a lot because of course history. He's got a 7th, a 5th, a 5th, and a 16th. Obviously loves bent greens and this area. I don't know how much chalk will be too much for me to get off of him, but that's the only thing that would worry me this week on him because of the course history. And he played decent last week at T23. So a little bit of form coming in, kind of the guy I'm looking at targeting this week.
Yeah.
So I like him at 7,200. And then last guy, I think you or I have been on him like for 2 months in a row, back and forth. One of us at least, if not both, is Straka at 7,300. Yeah. Really hadn't played this course. Not much bit green data. So that's another one I have earmarked to kind of look into tomorrow, see if I can find anything there. Stat wise, outside of that, he's number 5 overall. Still limited data for me on him, but I like he did miss a cut last week, but he's kind of that profile of, I mean, look, he's got a T20 at the Open, miscut, T11 at Rocket, miscut. So he's at high ceiling, but can miss a cut. 7,300 in this field, I'll definitely have a share or two of him and feel fine spreading that out. I'll lead us up on the final one, which is flop, fade, and sleeper. Flop is Lucas Glover. And this one really wasn't very hard for me. I don't think much will change my mind by Wednesday on him. I mean, I like him overall. I've played him plenty. I just don't know. He finished just on fire Sunday. So that kind of goes against my, form deal, but $9,800 Lucas Glover. He's just average in everything I look at in my model. He's played this 3 times and he's missed a cut twice. He does have a T25. He had 2 missed cuts leading into last week. He obviously did well last week because of a low-scoring event. But overall, when I look at kind of some of the scoring blends that you mentioned, he doesn't pop in there at all. Like, he's bottom of the field. Yeah. He's not real great on par 5s. I just think for the 9,800 price and potentially a little bit of pop in the ownership because of how he finished last week, I'm off Glover. My fade is Zach Johnson. This one's tough, and it's purely I'm expecting him to be high owned. If he's not high owned, I may go to him, but he's had a 2nd, a 3rd, a 34th, a 5th, and a 16th. So you get a guy that a lot of people will recognize his name in a kind of a weak field. $9,600. Yeah, $9,600. So if he could be the guy to fade the young studs, Mr. Steady, Zach Johnson, but he just doesn't do anything for me in the stat world. So if he's going to get any kind of ownership at the $9,600 mark, I'll fade Zach. He does have a pretty attractive price on FanDuel. He's got a plus minus of 1,000, and so his price on FanDuel would correlate to $8,500 on DraftKings. So that could be a spot to use him if you want to fade him in DK. And then my sleeper, I have 2 really, really close. I'll see if you have any of them. One's Josh Teeter, who I know Wiley's been on.
Burned us.
Yeah, he did burn us. Burned us plenty last week. But pretty good form other than last week. And that could be that he could be the bounce back week this week at $6,700. Yep. Definitely like his price point. And the other one is it, how do you say it? Sucker or is it?
Suture.
Suture.
Super?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Something
Very, very limited round information, which we've dealt with for him for a little while.
Yeah.
A T2, a miscut, then a T58. But for the data I do have, he's actually my number one in my stat model, number 7 overall, $6,900. I don't know if he'll get any love out there, but those are the two I kind of tossed around as sleeper, or flop, fade, and sleepers.
Yeah, so flop and fade. Flop is going to be Zach Johnson for me. I think that he is overpriced. I understand his history here is solid. He's going to be that big name. I don't care if he's high owned, low owned, whatever. I don't think he's going to pay off that price tag. The next guy, and this is a guy you're on, but I am not a fan of Ryan Moore this week. I do think this is a course that can fit his game, but he has not been playing well. And I don't think that the 9,200 price tag is crazy for him. But I'm still not going to pay $9,200 this week for a guy that's coming in really bad form. For sleeper, I have 2. Super, super deep sleeper is Boo Weekly. $6,200 this week. Boo, in his limited time playing this year, has had a propensity to make birdies, which is solid and frees you up to pretty much do whatever you want. And then the other guy, and again, higher upside birdie maker, is Arjun Atwal. Saw it last week. Can make birdies in waves, and that's something that we are going to have to see this week stand a chance. These aren't your safe sleepers, put it that way. They really are higher upside, high risk plays down low. But at $6,200 and $6,400, you're hoping for a cut, and that's about it. Because on the weekend, even if let's just say they make the cut, these guys, Arjun is going to make 5 or 6 birdies around. He may have a bogey, a double bogey, that kind of thing, but he's going to score DK points. And that's what I'm looking for on the weekend from a guy like that. So those will be my 2 bottom of the barrel sleepers. Are you on mute, Gup?
Oh,
Gup's
sorry. Yep, I was muted. Atwal was high owned in showdowns last week because of that. So he had a lot of birdie potential, which that probably popped to some people. Certainly will be on that radar.
For sure.
If he has a Friday morning tee time, he could probably be a showdown that day. And if he makes a weekend, he'll probably be, he could be low price like he was, especially how they have a delay in the pricing. So he's a guy that's on the radar for showdown. Certainly don't mind a super risk there if you want to go that low. Got a few 6 or 7 rapid fires, DFS only, no betting, no nothing. If you had to pick one, Hovland or Morkai?
Hovland.
I agree. Strillman or Glover?
Man, that's tough. Strillman.
Obviously, Strillman for me. I do think it's tough because I don't know if I'll play either, but $10,000 Strillman, I assume will go overlooked. So could be a low owned dart there to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I know the answer for this on both of us now, but Zach Johnson or Chucky 3 Sticks?
I really like Chucky 3 Sticks this week, man. He's starting to trend back in the right direction, and this is the golf course he can take advantage of. And you already heard I don't like Zach Johnson, so CH3 is
a guy I think that'll be super popular this week. Wyndham Clark or Kevin Tway?
Tway for the upside, although Clark's been playing so damn good.
Yeah, I like Tway as well. Played good here the last 2 years. Bud Cauley or Ryan Palmer?
Palmer for sure.
Yep. It was a toss-up for me, but you convinced me on Palmer. Malnati or Burgoon?
Malnati. Love him this week. Been playing awesome.
Yeah, he's much higher in my model. I don't know. I'll probably. I mean, I gotta have some Burgoon. I gotta defending there with him, but Malnati's very high in my
You
model,
just
and
gonna run back the same
I could get real close to it. I don't think HV3 is here, or is he? He may be,
Yes,
but
he is.
okay, yeah, I can probably run it back then.
He's like $7,400. He's cheap
Which is
value.
probably what it was last year. Nick Watney or Mackenzie Hughes?
Love Hughes this week.
I do too. Watney definitely in a player pool right now. See if he makes it out of it. Round table, which this is a week that's probably kind of more important than most because it's not the same old same, and you got some guys in there. You did mention some that I didn't know you would. Like Romero was on my round table. Malnati was talked about a little bit. A guy that I don't think you said him. You may have in your. Did you say Sung Jae in your top 3? I know he's on your list.
Yes, I did. He
So I
is
like
in
it.
my top.
Troy Merritt is a guy that do you think he's going to be high owned, or is he? I mean, because he's really solid for me. He was just in that no man land for the way we do our format at 7,500. But do you have any thoughts on Merritt?
From a stat perspective, he's popping for me, and I definitely have looked that direction. But there's Tringali right above him. There's Denny McCarthy right below him. Those are 2 guys I'd rather have this week, and so it's going to be tough for me to get there, especially when I'm only having probably 4 lineups total all week. But I can't argue with that pick. I mean, he's been playing solid. His stats are solid. I'm just not a big fan of his right now.
So one name that caught my eye this morning before anything came out, and I kind of got the early UK betting boards, was Duffner being 60-1 in this field. Felt like tremendous value. Then hindsight tonight, after I get done with all my stats, he's literally almost DFL in putting splits, bent versus non-bent. So that kind of popped to me. I don't know. I need to go look at that more deep to see if that's, I mean, it can't be an anomaly because this is going over like 100 round split. So, I mean, obviously doesn't care for bent for whatever reason, but overall he's 37th in my model. That just it kind of sticks out to me. What are your thoughts on Duffner overall? I may throw something on him on betting wise and move on, but any thoughts there overall? I mean, obviously he can go low, but not the best form coming in or.
Yeah, I think he's been playing better like a month ago compared to now, obviously, like at the Memorial, where he's always going to be a great ball striker, and it comes down to the putter. Like at the Memorial, he was putting great. But it all comes down to the putter this week, and he has not been converting his birdie opportunities. And that's bothersome at a course like this because you have to make the most of your opportunities if you're going to shoot 20 plus under and have a chance to win. And so for a guy like Duffner, he's going to give himself a ton of opportunities. But if he can't convert, he's not going to contend. And that would be bothersome knowing his putting splits, like you just mentioned.
So I had 2 more guys. Recent winner, missed a cut last week. So it's kind of out of his system. Doesn't really fit overall in the scoring go low type mentality, but pretty solid form coming obviously with the win is Nate Lashley at 8,500. Is he a guy that goes overlooked or does he back on people's radar?
No, I think you guys overlooked this week, and I do like Nate Lashley.
And the last one for me is a guy that I rode to the 5,000 Sunday, him and Ortiz. I had Gomez and Ortiz in every lineup almost virtually. Well, I had one of them in every lineup. And I had both of them in a couple. So they played tremendous on the weekend. Obviously, both had great Sundays. And Ortiz did he tie for the lead or he's tied for the lead when he got done? Yeah. So I don't know if he's in this field or not. I don't have him marked, but Gomez, $6,700 a guy I have marked. I'll go back to him. I like the form from last week, carry the momentum. Had missed 3 cuts prior to that, so was on no one's radar pre-tournament, but he started popping on the showdown models. So I like him at 6,700. Any thoughts?
Not really, to be honest with you. He's kind of
daily fantasy part.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think he's middle of the road for me. The only guy that I don't think we've mentioned that I wanted to mention in this roundtable was Sam Burns. He's a guy that is popping for me, a guy I've been playing recently. I really like him. I find myself not on DraftKings, it's a little easier on FanDuel. I find myself right in the middle of like a two-player swap between like Burns and Tringale or Neiman and I think it's Vegas or something like that. And so he's somebody that I think is going to play really well. But with his price, is he going to play as well as like a Neiman or somebody like that? And that's the question.
Yeah, the whole analyzing the pricing between the two is new to me. Obviously, I've looked at it for the last 4 to 6 weeks, and now I brought it into the model. So I hope it, like this week, the biggest minus guy on FanDuel is Fratelli. Like he's 74 on FanDuel. So much better of a play on DK if you're going that route this week. But certainly something we'll continue to grow upon and hit on in the fall swing, and then hopefully full effect for next year. I'll try to incorporate it. I know Bucks will, as far as on Sundays, I started adding, because I didn't realize that I never play Showdown anywhere but DraftKings. And I probably won't, because I really like the DraftKings format. I do well in it most time, at least season long. I struggle some this year, but I guess FanDuel does not do finishing position in their round 4. So my articles are driven to factor that in. And so I've tried to add in, hey, this week, these guys would be on my radar if you're taking finishing position out of it. So just pure score type deal. And if I see some extreme guys like a Fratelli would probably be a fade for me on FanDuel. He's just way overpriced compared to there. Stuff like that, I'll try to add some little color into that. If nothing else, address it on the emergency 9 once we get all the data pulled in. Let's move to the betting segment, wrap this thing up. Really weird week to put numbers on guys and feel confident betting. No different than DraftKings, but have to kind of ignore the name, but and like we talked about, and understand the field. 40 to 1 or less. Anybody catch your eye?
No, not really. I mean, no. I like Sanjay. I like Matty Wolf. I like Neiman, but at 20, at 22, I'm not a fan of those, and so I would wait to live bet and hope one of them has to come from behind and you get better odds. I don't like anybody under 40.
I will probably use the tactic I did last week that almost paid off and take some of these lower guys. And because we have a pretty solid field over at the Scottish Open, do some doubles with, Neiman, Hovland. I like Tway. I mentioned Moore. Kyle Stanley could slip in there.
You're gonna have to do the Wolf Rom back to backer.
Right. Wolf, Morikawa. I mean, you could, 2 or 3 of those, pair them with a couple guys over there and leave it alone at that. I'm not going to outright bet any of these just by themselves. No, not worth the money as far as this week goes. But some good value with the doubles. We saw that last week.
Yeah.
45 to 75 to 1. Anybody catch your eye?
Yeah, 2. Mackenzie Hughes at like 66 and Denny McCarthy at like 70. Those are 2 I really like this week, and I think there's value in their odds.
Yeah, Hughes was on mine. Malnati's one.
Ryan Palmer 50, I really, really like as well. I just saw him, sorry.
No, you're fine. Malnati's one I like on top of Hughes, and then Sam Ryder will probably he's my freebie of the week. I'll have him on the card at 70. I like his game. I think he can go low and compete. He finished second here last year. Merritt and Watney were a couple that are kind of out there that maybe perk my interest once I deep dive in and lock. I'll kick off 80 to 120. I already mentioned him several times for Telly. Strzok.
I like Strzok.
Romero. Yeah, Romero was a guy, 110. Any other tournament seems like that's not good value. But here, like you said, can go low. If I'm in the each way world, I definitely would be on Romero at each way because I think, like you said, can definitely slide into a top 5 here. And at 110, that's good money. So I like those 3 in this range. What about you?
For me, and this is a guy we didn't really mention, but I think is going to be pretty popular this week. But Garber at 110, I think, is pretty solid value. Outside of that, there's really nobody in this range that I like.
Yeah, the deep dark horses, I had 3 listed. Teeter was one we talked about earlier. Gomez is 200 to 1. I think for a kid that, finished strong, got a little taste of the success, can go low. That's a dart worth a few bucks on him. And then a guy I know we hadn't mentioned at all, but he's right there in kind of everything I look at, and I'm sure he won't be owned at all. Got a 5th here 2 years ago, Jonathan Bird. Had a 14th at the RBC several weeks ago. James, a guy that I think he's 150 to 1. So those are kind of dark horses for me. Any dark horses for you?
Only one, Sang Moon Bae.
Nice.
At some point in time, this dude is going to get back into playing form, and he's going to be a top 50 player in the world, if I had to guess, at some point in time in his career. I really like his game. Taking that time off is really difficult to get back into a mentally, physically groove it out. But at 275, Sang Moon Bae, there's not many guys down there at that value that have the talent he does.
So Michael Kim's in the exact perfect form that he was last year coming into this tournament.
Form.
Yeah, exactly. And he's missed the last 6 tournaments. He's went cut, which is identical to how he did last year coming in this tournament.
Which is just crazy. That's why golf's so ridiculous.
Yeah, he is 300. I don't know if I've ever seen a defending champion be 350 to 1. I know I haven't, but I've not been around golf as long as you. But betting wise, I don't think I've seen a defending champion the next year on that course be 350 to 1. The only thing that sticks out is course history. And then he's actually top 10% in the field on the non-bent splits, which probably explains why his putter was just asinine hot last year.
Yep.
Do you throw anything on him, or just no chance he's repeating?
No chance whatsoever. 0 chance.
I agree. I don't even think I can I think I'd be wasting money there. I'd rather throw it on a guy somewhere else. One and done. No, both of us had day last week. So we got $12,000.
God bless.
You're at 3.55. I'm at 7.12. Just a reminder, top 300 in the year-long make money. I know Mrs. Gup is in the top 300. I have one in the top 300, and I have one at like 360, 380. So I got a couple chances to climb.
I have one at like 230, I think.
I would say this is a week where it is advantageous to take risk, because if you hit the guy, that's going to be so spread out. I think the young studs are going to be used because they haven't been. No one's been able to use. Yeah, no one's been able to use them before. I would lean that Wolf would be in play if you didn't use him last week, which I can't imagine many did. I literally flipped a coin between Hovland and Wolf as my little third lineup that's not done real great, and it landed on Hovland, which sucked. Well, and he still finished good, but it would have been nice on Wolf. But I would not go chalk here, because if you're up there, you're making some moves. This is a week where you don't have just the go-to guy, the DJ Brooks, those kind, and I'd take some chances. So where are you? I know you have one that's really good, and then you have ours. So give us yours here, and then for a contender type lineup, where are you looking?
For ours, I'm going back to back with Wolf.
Okay.
Like I said, I think he has the opportunity to go back to back, and I think a floor for him is top 20. So I really like Wolf for my lineup, or my entry that is actually cashing at the moment. I'm going Neiman.
Yeah, ours, which is not my best, it's my second best. I'm going Neiman, because I used Neiman last week in my best one. So that didn't do too bad, I guess.
Yeah, I DeChambeau last week in our best one.
Oh, nice. Definitely, yeah, his solid play. You can kind of analyze chalk. You could use ownership percentages per se, but it does at this point in the season, it does do you justice to go look up how many times the guy's been used, which is available on our site, or on the contest site. So,
second week of the segment too.
Correct. Yeah. So everybody's alive for that. Even if you sucked all year, the segment's live for anybody. And this is a week where you could literally take over.
Especially with Wolf winning last week. There's not many that picked Wolf. Three people, I think. Yeah, three people. A ton of people played Bryson, me being one of them. And so you have tons and tons of opportunity.
I've earmarked Hovland or Wolf for my main one. I'm going to wait to see how kind of things shake out there. I like Hovland to kind of get that teammate narrative line of my turn to get something going. And he's just great for him right now. The first 4 tournaments on tour has been fantastic. This course should suit him just as well as all of them. Finished so strong Sunday, played great. Had the round of the day going until some of the other guys showed up. But if you're in this, I definitely would analyze. I'd spend a little more time this week. And I've given some advice on the side to say, I would try to plan. This week probably won't matter because we kind of got some new blood that we're wearing. When we start grinding into the British Open and some of these other ones, I would try to plan out your card. You only got, how many we got left? After this week, 8 tournaments. So I would plan out, who do I have left? What tournament do I think they're going to fit best? And try to analyze that. So you don't miss out on somebody and you get to the end, you're like, oh shit, I forgot, to play that guy or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of money there to be won. Looking forward to seeing some final results there. I think it's been a great season as well. And JB does just the best job that you could ask for in any of that. Bucks, any final thoughts for the John Deere prelude to the Open? I know we're going to have that covered wall to wall. Could possibly go Sunday for the pod there, but we'll announce that Wednesday. We will announce our entire content week Tuesday or Wednesday for the Open. Finalizing some things right now. But who do you like? Or give me your final thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see Matthew Wolf and Sanjay M in a playoff on Sunday. I'm really excited to see Matthew Wolf win back to back. It's going to be pretty awesome to check out, but no, this is a terribly weak field when you think about it from an OWGR perspective, but it's super exciting because you got Hovland, Wolf, Neiman, Morikawa. You got all of these guys that are kind of young guns peaking right now in their short careers. And so even though you don't have any of the big names, it's still going to be a really exciting week, and 20 under is going to win again. And so you're going to have a ton of action on the weekend, and the course is going to be set up perfect for scoring conditions. So I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I was actually, I guess because my mentality was thinking it was just going to be a horrible field, but when you get down, you got Fratelli, Straka, Minotti. I mean, casual golf fans aren't really going to know that, but if you're listening to this pod or playing DFS, you're more than casual. And there's some pretty good, talented guys that make for some interesting builds, especially if you take a dart in the 62, 64, 6,500 range. Some good builds you can do there. Sam Ryder,
Burns,
Romero, like you talk about. I mean, Merritt, you said that, there's a lot of guys that, are good players. They're not going to be like the best overall or where you think you're comfortable, but I think it's going to be better than what most people think. Obviously, I think the Scottish Open is a talented field as well. And the eyes will be over there because a lot of players are going to play in the Open will be there. Ricky Fowler, can he win and then roll it into next week? Guys like that. So a good week of golf all the way around heading into the final major. I don't think anybody covers a major week as good as what we do. So we're going to try to stick to that next week and have you covered around the clock. As always, Wednesday night, E9, 9:00 Eastern. It's hosted inside of our internal website. Sign up now. The nice thing about right now is it gets you through all the rest of pretty much the big field tournaments for the PGA, which is all the way through the Northern Trust. You get 5 tournaments, including the Open. It's $14.99 a month, $119.99 a year. If you use the code WOLF, 2 Fs, you get 10% off this week. The other nice thing is we have some meetings in the next 8 to 10 days over our football content, and we will start rolling out our preseason rankings and lists and season long best ball, everything out there. We have a little bit different way of going at it because there's no point in regurgitating what 9,000 other people are doing. So we really want to focus in what you guys want. You may even get some questionnaires from us in the Slack, or email to say, hey, we just want your feedback. What's missing that you don't get from, football is just so well covered. There's no point in us trying to mimic everybody else. We want to bring something that actually adds value to what you already do. So that starts rolling out in this month period. If you want to try it out for a month, I think it comes out to 11 or 12 bucks with the 10% off. This is a good month to get you all the way through the end of the golf season and then start our football content and see if you like it. Our annual, like I said earlier, is a 365-day package. So if you're ready to get on for the whole year, it gets you through July 8th. If you sign up today, 2020. So there's no reason. It's not just this golf season. We get asked that a lot. So I just want to make sure I say that because it probably didn't come off that way. And some people may just do season packages only, and that's not how we do that. Final thoughts for me. I talked about this a little bit on the E9. I'm going to keep it brief. I spent yesterday morning, I was watching the ROM and RCB kind of go off and make a run. Thought RCB had closed it out, but didn't. But while I was doing that, I was cleaning up my social media. Obviously, well documented things that have happened in the last week. In my E9, I mentioned that I have a strong passion towards bullies. I take it too far when people attack me, and it's from my background of being bullied as a kid until I grew into my body. Overweight kid. Always had plenty in my life, but I was below average income, single mom. Always had things provided for me, but I didn't have the fancy clothes, shoes, and all that stuff. And I got picked on a lot, when you're, the chubby kid or whatever. But then I grew in, to 6'2", 295 college football player, and it wasn't an issue, but I've always despised it. And then I have a son who's autistic now. And so I always fear the same deal for him because he's quote unquote different. But I realized, I talked to my wife Saturday night, and we had some things go on, and it just set me down to go that, I hate bullies. I care too much what others think about me. And then I try to please everyone. Those are the three things I summarized. It took me 2 hours yesterday morning trying to just bullet points for me to realize, how do I get out of this world of not caring what people that I don't care what they think about me? Meaning I just got to ignore it all. I'll defend my people. I'll defend my team. I'll defend the community. I'll defend my family to the hilt. But I can't care about what a bully or a troll, if they're having good fun, and there's funny trolls, and there's guys that take it too far and they're just trying to get attention. So I deleted, blocked, muted, took off about 350 followers yesterday of people that I just got tired of seeing. So I'm cleansing myself from that environment because I can't deal with it anymore. I have too much going on, and we have such a good thing going on here that's one thing I can get out of my life pretty easy. And if someone comes at me and wants to there's a difference. Like Wilder and I got off on a horrible foot over 2 years ago. And we took a side conversation. We talk like men. And now we have as mutual respect as anybody for each other. And if someone disagrees with what we're saying or presenting or something like that, I certainly don't mind a civil conversation. But if you're just going to attack and come at me or the team or anybody on our site, that's not what we're about. And then the other thing that comes into it is trying to please everybody, right? You're trying to, and it's just hard for me, and my team tells me this, and you just can't please everybody. You're not going to do things that pleases everyone or be able to, answer 1,600 DMs or, whatever we have going on. Just try to do your best, and hopefully everybody understands that. We have a great team here, and all of them will reach out to anybody and need help. And even in the industry, we're well respected from the guys that I want to be respected from. So the other guys I just got rid of, and I think it was a positive move. I had a good morning this morning, waking up, and scrolling Twitter, and I didn't see any of that no more. It was just all positive stuff. Us congratulating other people as well. And when I started this, it was to build this industry, the niche industry, on top of football and all that, but to bring something that no one else had. I think we've done that, but I think I let myself in the last 4 to 6 weeks get sidetracked off of that and get focusing on people that I really don't care about. And I can't do that no more. And so my suggestion to everybody is to take similar actions, and it's not worth your time. I talk to my sons about it, although they don't know it now, but I'll continue to tell them, bullies are bullies. They're looking for attention. And there's a reason they're like that, because they're defensive about their own self. They're cowards in my mind. And that's how I think of them. And I moved on. As always, looking forward to this week. We crushed 2 weeks ago when no one else cared about the Rocket Classic. And so I expect us to be full bore. We'll be as well prepared as everybody. And we'll see you Wednesday night in the E9. Have a good week.
Peace.
SmashFactor.